Cryomax Insert Coin and Complain is being brought to you by Fireclown and Commander Haggis.
Hello, and welcome back to Insert Coin and Complain with myself, Fireclown, and my good co-host here, Commander Haggis.
Hello.
Hello. Is that all you got
Hello.
to say?
That's all I've got to say, yeah.
You got two hellos
That's
there.
it.
You're doing pretty well. Good job.
2 holes, I need to drink more of this.
We are not sponsored by the Coca-Cola company in any shape or form. Actually, that's not even Coca-Cola over here.
I know, how dare you?
It's actually, who is it that does it over here? It's not Coca-Cola.
I think it is.
It's not Coca-Cola. I know that.
It is
It's not.
Coca-Cola.co.uk.
Well, I
So it
thought it
says
was.
on the can, mate.
I thought it was completely distributed by someone else over here.
No. In the States, it's still distributed by Dr. Pepper, but I think it's made here under a license because they obviously can't put all the good, tasty stuff in it over here.
the good tasty stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like soft drinks in the UK suck compared to the
No,
States.
they're just healthier. Not
Well,
that soft
no,
drinks are
like
healthy anyway. And saying
just drink
that,
water.
I think I'll just open up a can of my soft drink, which I'll cover the can because I'm sensible.
Why? Do you like seriously? Have you seen how many people watch this? It's like I don't think the Coca-Cola Corporation are going to be
They might.
demonetizing you.
They might.
They
They,
won't.
they might try to.
If I said like Coke tastes like beep, they might. But I didn't say that, so
Yeah, well, I'd have to beep that out myself, wouldn't I?
I just did it for you.
Yeah.
There you go.
So we're going to be talking about AI today, which is
Yes,
Commander Haggis's favorite topic of
I love
discussion.
it.
I was visiting Commander Haggis and his good lady on.
Just before we get going,
Oh God.
there you go. That's what I
Teaching
think about it.
sand to think was a mistake. Well, it's very
Yeah.
actually true. But freaking teaching
That's it.
sand. Anyway, I was visiting you last. It was actually not last night. It was the night before, wasn't it? It was Thursday night that I was down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was visiting on Thursday night, and your favorite topic was AI. And when I saw you last, which would be a few weeks ago, about 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago,
My favorite topic was
in
AI.
person, it was also your very favorite topic. So we thought we'd do a whole episode on AI, which shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. So
Probably going to be 2. I think it's probably going to be, well, no, I think like this is probably going to be like where AI is now, how it got to where it
you can
is.
see he's getting excited now.
I know, it's good, isn't it? And then so how we got to where we are, the main players, and then is it actually useful? Spoiler, no, it's not. And then the second
No,
episode
it's
is
not.
probably the second episode is gonna explain. Well, it's not. It's not
Wait.
useful.
Yeah, second episode. So we're carrying this on next week.
Yeah,
Okay, right,
because
got you.
you'll have because you're gonna we're gonna get to the end of this episode, and you know what my views are on it, and then
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to explain why I think that, which is purely down to
That's an extra hour.
finance. Yeah, it's just fine. It's just the finances of it, right?
Yeah.
Like these. I mean, the companies that you currently have, I'll be very surprised if they exist in the next like 12 to 24 months. They'll probably be subsumed by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's purely just financial. That's just the financial reality that they find themselves in at the moment. But so no, I don't know. I mean, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
Okay,
It's
so
kind of up to you.
we'll go down the route of like saying to begin with, that is, and then you can elaborate more on the names. We have
Yes.
different named AIs, which are always in the public domain and more popular. I obviously know of, and you know of, other AIs that aren't so
Hmm.
popular, but I actually find them more useful, and they are also free. Yeah. So obviously you got ChatGPT, you got is Cortana classed as AI? Would you say?
I can't remember. That's like, is it called Cortana or is it Copilot?
Oh, it's Copilot now, is it called?
They've called it Copilot. But I think
Copilot.
I can't remember if Copilot is running on the back of something.
Yeah. Then
You know what I mean? Because Microsoft basically buy all their
Yeah, they don't do
buy
anything.
buy all their not their compute, their inference.
Yeah,
They sell their compute
yeah.
to OpenAI and
So
Anthropic.
so you got like Copilot as you said and then you got Claude, and you got
Yeah,
Gemini. Those are your main ones that are in the public eye and the ones that most people pay for.
yeah.
I would
Um,
definitely say that.
yeah, where are we? Yeah, so yeah, I was right. OpenAI and Microsoft. So I'm assuming that blah blah blah. OpenAI continuously. Sorry, I've got notes.
You got
Yeah.
notes?
So OpenAI, just so I get it right. So yeah, That's what I thought. OpenAI and Microsoft are in bed
I
because
have notes.
OpenAI relies on Azure, relies on their cloud service. So that they're in bed um quite a lot.
Hmm.
So I assume Copilot runs off some version of or some iteration of an OpenAI model.
Most likely.
And then there's DeepSeek, the Chinese AI
Oh
lab,
yeah, DeepSeek.
which
Sorry, I forgot about that one. My apologies. Yeah, yeah.
is like DeepSeek's really interesting,
It's
just
also
because
had a major
China.
upgrade recently.
Yes, exactly. And mainly, like, I find the Chinese models more interesting. And by the way, these, like, we're talking about AI, right? So what we're talking about is LLMs, or large language models, which is not AI. There's multiple other fields like reinforced learning, all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but in the general discourse, AI, people think about AI, they're really talking about LLMs, right? And then you got DeepSeek, which is really interesting. There's a few Chinese companies actually. Can't remember what they're called. DeepSeek comes to mind. They're interesting because they don't have access to the same level of compute as they do in the West because of the current American administration saying, "Oh, you can't sell X, Y, and Z to China," which is hilarious because you can actually go and buy an RTX 6000 or something like that in Shanghai. It's not
Hmm.
hard to find them. You just can't buy 1,000 of them, right?
Yeah.
But you can buy them. Um, because of that, what they decided to do was like, well, instead of spending like literally trillions of dollars on infrastructure, they're just like, well, we'll just make these models more efficient, and they have. Um, and they've also open sourced them, so you can open weight them. So you can build it. So you can download the model, run it on your hardware, and then you can give different parts of the model different weights, or so like different levels of importance. So you can really tailor it to what you want it to do, which I think is way more interesting, right? If you have a use case for an LLM, rather than being tied into an ecosystem that's provided by like Anthropic or someone like that.
Hmm.
I think China's much more interesting. But I suppose like going back, so there's no point, like, AI's been talked about since, trying to think, the 50s, the
Terminator.
first time it was. Yeah,
Sorry.
I'm pretty sure it was in the 50s, the first late 50s, early 60s, the term was coined, and it was
Yeah.
basically, I can't remember the guy who said it, was a dude in the States, and it was essentially to get politicians interested in it, right, for funding, because it was there were all sorts of names for it
1955.
before that. There you go. There's all sorts of names for it before that, but they weren't very sexy. Whereas like AI, like artificial intelligence, kind of. But that was it, right? They were just like, we need funding. That's it. They needed to get funding, and it was one of the ways. Like, if we tag this huge area of research with this term, then that's something that people can understand who aren't necessarily technical, and they'll be like, all right, there might be a benefit to that. But we're going to talk about recent history, so we're going to start like 2017, and I suppose.
Hold on. Just for the people who don't understand, because I think it's actually a very poignant thing that you can explain in under like a minute and a half. Because we've got a lot of gamers that play that watch. Well, do we have a lot of people watching? That's
We
another
don't.
question. We've got
That's
people who
another
are
question.
gamers that watch, and they understand the fact that people or companies use AI in their games, and I'm not meaning to create the games. I mean, as in like for their gaming bots.
Oh
Can
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
can,
yeah,
can you
yeah.
can you just for those people explain the difference quickly. What AI, as in LLM differences between that
Oh,
and
right.
also AI for gaming purposes, as in like
So,
basically stating that it's not AI.
so, all right, okay. So, there's in the gaming industry, there's a few things you can do. You can use AI tools to generate content, which I don't think is a particularly good idea.
Nope, I don't either.
You can build in AI tools to the render engine, whether you're using NVIDIA or AMD. So, fake frames, basically DLSS and FSR, where essentially both of those technologies are using really fancy nearest neighbor analysis, which is a statistical thing. So it's looking at the pixels that are beside it
Yeah.
and then guessing what the next ones should be, which cuts down on compute power because you don't have to render the whole frame.
Yeah.
Again, I don't really think it's come along a long way, actually. I just turn it off, to be honest. I'm lucky enough to have a graphics card still where I generally don't have to use it. And then
Yeah.
you get into the thing that you're talking about, which is AI within games.
Yes.
And that is not AI in the way that people in the general public would think about it. That's just very sophisticated behavioral logic,
Yes.
essentially.
It's virtual intelligence rather than artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's a very complicated set of rules,
Hmm.
which will kick in based on what your inputs are.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Hmm.
that's it. Like something more than that. Then you've got LLMs, or large language models, and they're essentially um, they're actually quite similar to game AI in that they require your input, so that they can't do anything without your input.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you're talking prompt based or even agentic AI, if you're running multiple agents doing different things, they all require input at some point to go and then execute a task that you've designed them to do.
Hmm.
Um, and essentially, all LLMs are just iteration engines. That's it. They're doing a similar thing to the well, I suppose they have to because it's built on that technology. They're doing a very similar thing to the DLSS and FSR. They're essentially doing a very, very, very smart form of nearest neighbor analysis. So you type in a prompt. Computers don't understand plain language, so depending on what model you're using, it will split your prompt up into tokens, which I'm sure everyone's heard of tokens. All tokens are chunks of words that are in a library that the LLM understands. So it can ingest it, and it goes, right, I've got these tokens in this order, feeds it into a massive transformer module, which are lots of so essentially it looks like tons and tons of binary regressions, which are used a lot in medicine. So binary regression is just a curve that does this. It goes like and like that. So you on that curve, you get to a point where you're more likely to have a positive outcome, right? So it's very, very coarse, but transformer models are using like billions of these.
Hmm.
And then you get an output, and the output is tucked to you in tokens, and then those tokens are put through the same library, and you get an output. So the LLM does not understand plain text. There's a lot of people get confused when they're like, "Oh no, the computer doesn't understand that," which is why they hallucinate. Which is why they can make mistakes. So they don't understand context. They can be confused by very, very simple logic that you take for granted as a human because you infer all the time, whereas it doesn't. And that's the main difference, really. And really, that jump to get back to where we were, the jump that allowed LLMs to do this was in 2017, and Google Google launched a paper called "Attention Is All You Need," and in that they basically outline the transformer model, which was groundbreaking. It truly, truly was groundbreaking. It basically allowed text to be processed efficiently, like cut up into tokens this way. But every LLM is built on that, right? So every single LLM is built on a version of our transformer model. And you skip forward a few years. It wasn't really to like kind of 2022. I think it was 2022 GPT-3 came out, and GPT-3 was like terrible by today's standards, but you could actually ask it questions, and it had sort of very, very simple logical steps it could go through, but you could have a conversation with it, right? Whereas you could never do that before. So that's when the kind of hype train started, if you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get skip forward a couple of years to 2024, and then you've got the kind of what people call multimodality and open weights. And that's basically where you'll hear people in the States or on the news talk about frontier models. So these are all the things at the cutting edge. So, if Anthropic have a new model, they'll do what they always do, is they say, oh, it's far too dangerous to release, and then hype it up completely, and then a month later they're like, oh yeah, we've released the model, because it's not too dangerous to release. It's just an LLM. It's what you do with it that can be dangerous. And then you skip forward to today, and you've got the kind of reasoning and, I suppose, agentic era, where most AIs are much, much better at pattern matching. They're better at mathematical problem solving, or just in general problem solving. And then there's a lot of other, there's no point talking about. There's other things like inference time compute and stuff, but you don't need to know about that. It's just literally that now models have become much, much more efficient, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And these models rely on massive data sets. That's what the transformer model, between the transformer model and GPT-3, that's what they realized is like, oh my God, if we just give these neural networks huge amounts of data to train on, you get much better outcomes, right? Which comes with a whole other load of problems. Like I think, AI companies, they just, yeah. I suppose where the idea of ownership and privacy comes into it, where I think the fact that they can just ingest huge chunks of the internet, and then basically disregard copyright for artists, whether it be books, music, film, whatever. I think
Yeah.
that's wrong.
Oh yeah, totally.
And they're I was going to say they're making money. They're not. None of them. No LLM is profitable. But they're making revenue from it, and they're able to raise huge amounts of venture capital through it, and it's enriching a small group of people, right? And they're largely doing. I would say largely a lot of the data that they've used to train their models have been has been gathered illegally, right? But they seem to be able to get away from it, which I find hilarious when you get news where people are being shut down because they're like, they're pirating 30-year-old Nintendo games onto ROMs, and you just think like, no one cares.
Yeah.
No, Nintendo cares, right? But
Of course
you
they
look
do.
at you look at that, and then you look at the scale of what these guys are doing in terms of data harvesting, and it's just like, it's not even comparable. It's
Yeah.
not on the same scale. And that's kind of where we are now in 2026. And I think you did a good job of like going through the main players. And
Oh,
I suppose
thanks.
to add to the main players, right? So the only people currently making actual money are people like Nvidia,
Mm-hmm.
AMD, Intel, and anyone who makes RAM.
Yeah,
So
of
SK
course.
Hynix, Micron. So people actually making the actual stuff to run these models on. They're the only people making money. The people actually running the models aren't making money at the moment.
No,
And that's kind of where we are.
yeah, it's only the hardware that the people who are making
Yeah.
the hardware are making the money.
Hmm.
Anybody who's actually doing the software side of things in any shape or form
Yeah.
is not making anything whatsoever. I
No.
know that there are subscription-based systems in place for
Yeah.
those models, but they never and have never made any
They
money
can't.
surmountable to the amount of money that they actually
Well,
put into it at all. And they
if
never
you think,
will. They never will,
hmm.
ever.
Well, I think I can't remember. We'll get into the numbers more in the next
Yeah,
episode.
of course.
This is my real issue with AI and its usefulness, right, is well, LLMs and its
So you
usefulness
keep
is
tripping my
that
fault.
it's just, I know, pardon me,
What?
it's just like there's just no business case for it. Like there's literally no business case for it. It just makes no bloody sense whatsoever. And I think the market's waking up to that. But like I say, we'll talk about that a bit more the next
Next
time.
time.
But to briefly touch on it, I mean, there are a few monetization strategies. So originally it was all SaaS, which I hate. So software as a subscription, like Fireclown's, right? It was all like we're gonna charge you a flat rate, and all companies did that, right? And it was tiered. And then Anthropic quickly realized that they were just burning money, right? So the way they do most of their billing, and I know this because business I work for, we use Anthropic, we use Claude. So we get billed per API call or per token. So we literally go in at the start of the month. We have an amount, a dollar amount, assigned to each of our accounts, and we can do whatever we want with it. But once it runs out, that's it. You can apply to have more, but that's how Anthropic does their enterprise billing, so, which is like can get really expensive really quickly. And I think,
That's so expensive way of doing
yeah,
things.
I think like most people have read about, companies like Uber, etc., burning through what they had kind of predicted their yearly spend would be in like 3 or 4 months. And these companies were talking about like, you know, I don't know, like tens of millions of dollars in tokens just gone in 3 months. Whereas like
That's
where I work,
crazy.
we're kind of it's still a lot. Like it sounds like a lot, right? I think I get like $1,000 a month or something like that in tokens. But I'm not coding
I'd rather
all
have
the
that in my
time.
wage.
Yeah, no, exactly, right?
Literally, I use a
Um,
different AI model and
yeah.
give, or actually, what I would actually say is, hey, I'll make my own AI model, and you give me that $1,000 in my wage. I'd be more
Well,
happy.
there there's quite a lot of like interesting things about that. I mean, we've had discussions. We have like an AI think group at work that I'm a part of,
Yeah,
and
I've got that
we've
too.
had serious discussions about deploying an on-site setup. So
Hmm.
actually spending like 200 grand on some servers and
Yeah.
training it to do something that we wanted to do. Because I think if you want to implement something into your, I work in like medical manufacturing. So if you want to incorporate something into your manufacturing, right, you have to validate it. It's a whole regulatory nightmare. There is no way you're going to do that when your system's running off a subscription essentially,
No.
because you have no idea what pricing's going to do. So if people are serious about that, and I think that's where AI is more interesting, or LLMs are more interesting, is the local deployment. Especially when you can get quite large models running on a desktop now.
Yep.
Fair enough, the desktop's like 20 grand, but you can have models running on that.
Yeah, but
Um,
if you've got like say 20 people in your
yeah.
department getting paid, or not getting paid, but like the tokens are costing
Hmm.
a grand each, that's $20,000. That's a computer. There you
A
go.
month. A
Yeah,
month.
as a month.
A month.
So you could buy one of
Yeah.
those computers and then deal with that, and then in the short term it costs money,
Mhm.
and in the short term you actually get a better model possibly anyway.
Yeah. So, and then it also comes down to the like the other thing that gets talked about quite a lot, and there's a discussion happening about where I work, and I think in lots of other companies as well, is like, so you've probably had like 6 or 7 months in the if you don't work in coding, right? If you work in coding, you're screwed, because I think a lot of code companies were like super bullish about this at the start. They binned a load of people, and they were just looking at like lines of code committed, but they weren't really looking at the quality of the lines of code committed. And they went hard. They spent a load of money. They binned a lot of people, and now they're having major issues. So the ROI on that, return on investment's poor, and I think that's the thing that like companies are talking about now, which is like, well, okay, so we've had it 6 months, we spent this much money. We may have made some layoffs as well, but what's the actual like? what has this enabled? What has it done? What's it delivered? What projects have we finished? Like, what's the ROI in this? Like, what are we getting back for it? And I think a lot of companies, I certainly where I work, I say it would be very, very difficult to make a positive case, like financial case, as to yeah, this is the hard dollar sum that this has saved us, or it's enabled X or whatever that we couldn't have done. Um, you know, on our own. It would have taken a bit longer. They're a little kind of like spotlight projects, right? That have been quite interesting, but they're driven. Like we've got one at work where it's a really interesting project, and a tool's been made. Can't really say that much about it. Anyway, it's very very cool. Um, but that project was driven by a guy I know really well, and it like he's the only one that could do that because he's a mathematician, right? No one else could have done. You could give it to me. I would not have been able to do that.
I
I'd
could have
get
done it.
so
Standing
far.
on my head.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. You still need someone. As he has a very good analogy for AIs, right? He says AIs are like pit bulls. You send them off and they're sniffing away, doing their own thing, and then occasionally they go rogue, and you've got to put a bullet in their head and get a new pit bull.
That is pretty harsh. That's a harsh way of looking at it.
Well, you got to
Okay.
kill that. You've got to kill that one off and get a new one because
You're
it's
going.
gone rogue.
Pete is going to be coming after you for just saying something like that, right?
I know, right? But even then, like it's an interesting idea, but it hasn't led to anything. And it basically the way he talks about it is like, okay, so I built this thing in like a couple of weeks. To build it on my own would probably take about 3 months because you've got other things you have to do. You're distracted, and but so he has accelerated that an idea, but that idea hasn't necessarily made any money. And if it does, it's probably going to be like 24 months down the line, just because all this stuff's going to have to be verified. It's going to be code reviewed. There's then a regulatory pathway to go through, and so I just don't think AI in a lot of industries really accelerates things
No.
that much because you've still got a huge amount of, and quite rightly so from my point of view, there's a huge amount of regulatory overhead, right? Um, and I think I think if OpenAI and ChatGPT and these companies are honest and they actually released their API pools, like so the questions, I imagine a good like 80% of them are just like random crap. Like, here's a photo of my fridge. What can I have for dinner? And you just can't build. You're not going to build $1 trillion industry on top of that, right? That's it. That's the reality. Because the reality is, for these things to be profitable, you essentially need to build another. Well, the OpenAI, ChatGPT, and sorry, OpenAI, Anthropic, and then also Microsoft. So you need another three Microsoft, Amazon Web Services. That's just not going to happen, right?
Hmm.
All this, like all this is literally a cry, a cry for help from the markets because they're looking for the next hyperscaler, right? They're looking for the next iPhone or the next AWS or something like that. They need like hyper growth, and they jumped on AI because it sounds really, really good. It's like the .com bubble and all these things.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that it's bad, right? Like, is my life better because I can spend less time trying to figure out why my Unraid server has a really random issue? Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, though. I mean, even things that I've looked up on 'cause I use Gemini because I find Gemini is better for general purpose stuff. Um, Even then, though, you can still spend days trying to fix an issue
So
because unless someone's had the issue and put it in a forum, the AI doesn't know, right? The LLM has no data to go and like say this is what it is.
that's true. So like all these companies that charge a subscription, yeah,
Mm.
one of the reasons that they obviously fail is because there is free AI systems out there that you can use.
Yeah.
And those free AI systems are community-based driven and paid for by community-based, people. And they probably actually survive better than the actual big companies ones will
Yeah.
as well, because big company
They
ones
will.
put in so much money into the hardware and going,
Yeah.
oh, we'll have the best one, when in reality their one will actually just majorly
Well,
flop because
yeah.
they've spent so much money on it, and then they'll be like, oh, we've
I
not
mean,
made any money from this at all.
it just comes, and you're bang on, and it comes down to the fact that I think so if you're paying for any of these things, right, and it'll vary depending on the model and everything else you select when you ask it a question, but
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure for like, I think it's for Gemini, if I because I
The one
tend to
my
use the
work
pro,
uses.
yeah, I tend to use the pro model, right, and I pay like next to nothing. The main reason I pay for it is because I get ad-free YouTube, which is beneficial to me. You
Yeah,
know,
I can understand that.
it's bundled together, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's actually a good deal. Um, but yeah, so it's like if I ask more than like, I think it's like 4 prompts a day, I become unprofitable. And literally it's down to what you're saying. It is the scale. Their solution to like making a model better is basically to scale it. Well, oh, we'll just add more compute. We'll add more data. We'll
Yeah.
train it more. You know, and it's like, yeah, but none of the none of the equipment's getting any cheaper. In fact, it's getting more
It's getting more
expensive.
expensive.
None of the building costs is getting cheaper. It's getting more
Yeah.
expensive. We'll get into this in the next episode, guys. But your costs are just always going up. Whereas normally, what you would expect is like high cost of entry for you know, early adopters, and then it just falls off a cliff,
Hmm.
and you get mass adoption, and that's just not going to happen, right? Um, and I think you're right. I think the future. I mean, you look at the business analysis and things like that. I think the future is open source and open weight models that are
Hmm.
probably being run locally by different businesses
Yeah.
or organizations or the government. You know, in a hardened environment. It's not the current landscape. Like I said at the start, I think like we haven't really gotten to the true value of LLMs. I think we'll get to what the true value of LLMs are, sort of socially and financially, probably in like the next 4 years, and it'll be the residuals of these companies. It'll be what's survived, who owns what's survived, and that's it. It's going to be like the dot-com bubble. It's going to be like there will be players who survive, and then over the next decade they grow,
Yeah.
and they grow products and services that are actually useful rather than we're just going to put everything on the internet and hope that it sticks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but that's where I am with the current
So
setup. Do I hate it? No, I don't hate it. Do I think it's a panacea for the world's ills? No, I don't.
I don't think AI you like solves a lot of things. It is
Yeah,
useful in certain circumstances. So, say for example in the medical industry, I think it can be useful for that.
yeah,
Whereas like it can come up with solutions and remedies and things like that, but you still need that human element to kind of go,
yeah,
yeah, that's technically correct, but it's actually wrong, possibly,
yeah.
yeah. Um, but people are using AI and AI chatbots and everything like that to also lose themselves in entertainment as well now. So
Yeah,
whereas
which I find odd.
back in like when the TV started or the radio started, we'll go to the radio. Why not? People were like, "Oh, the radio is bad. It's gonna like
Mhm.
affect you," and like obviously it didn't. And TV is bad. It's going to affect you in a really bad way, and it's not really. Computer gaming is bad. It's gonna really affect you. We can go through the whole system, and now you've got AI. AI
Mhm.
is bad. It's really going to affect you. And to be honest, I can't see AI being that
I
effective
see.
in the way that they keep on saying it is.
I
It's
I would say there's more chance of AI being nefarious, having a negative impact,
yeah,
just because of the power is concentrated in a few people's hands, right? And it's not
that I can
regulated.
understand that, but then again, you could say that
Um,
about the atomic weapon.
uh,
It's
obviously,
like-
that's a different thing. That's like
but it's
that.
not. If you use AI to its fullest, it could literally do it could manufacture everything you need, down to
It
building a
couldn't,
bomb and sending it off. It could.
but it couldn't
All you
because
have
it
to do
doesn't.
is actually give it
But
like the
but
the
it
ability
can't.
to. Of course
No,
you
but
can.
it can't because
Of
it
course you can.
can't interact with the physical world.
Well, no, that you
and
make
it
it
requires
interact with the physical world.
well, yeah, okay, but then you're talking about. See, this is what I mean, right? So like you're talking about something that's like
You said nefarious uses, and I was giving you a
30.
nefarious use.
I mean, you're probably talking like I was going to be generous there. I mean, 50 years in the future,
Hmm.
maybe. We just don't have the technology. You literally do not have the technology to do that.
Oh,
You don't have the power
say
infrastructure to do that.
hypothetically, you build you
Yeah, but
yourself,
like,
because you're like a megalomaniac. You build a warehouse that has the ability
yes,
to build bombs, and then you just
yeah,
get your AI that you've created, and then stick it in the computer and go, right, I've cooked you up to all the machines, build me a bomb, and
and
it'll build you a bomb.
it won't be able to
Yeah, of course it will.
because you wouldn't an individual would not be able to collect all the resources required to do that. And
That's
then
by
you
the by. You
also
know, we're talking about you though. You're the individual that's a
all
megalomaniac
right,
that will be able
I
to
could
get all the
I
materials.
would do it, and I wouldn't use an AI to do it. I would hire some people who actually knew what the fuck they were doing. I'd be like, I'll get you guys to do this. Like, I wouldn't just so I'll spin up Chat GPT and see what it thinks. It's like, oh yeah, are you sure about? Yeah. It'll be absolutely fine. Just put you know. It's
I
like,
see.
no, I'm not doing. It's
I
just
see
an
the reasoning
nonsense.
behind having AI in a lot of ways, but I also think it's a bunch of trash, to be honest. And I do use like
It's just
different AI
slop.
systems. I use like ChatGPT every so often.
Yeah.
I use another one called Perchance every so often for
Mm,
doing images and things like that because it's
hmm.
free. Like
Yeah.
ChatGPT is like, hey, you can only get 5 images done on my system, and for free if you're doing it through their free service. Perchance AI will just keep on churning you out AI images over and over and over and over and over and over again. There's no paywall. There's no
Yeah.
yeah. It's a bit slower sometimes, but that's okay. And it doesn't do one image at a time. Perchance AI will like give you 6 images at a time. Yeah,
Hmm.
you might wait an
Yeah.
extra like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, but to be honest, yeah, it produces pretty good stuff in my opinion. For what
Yeah.
you're needing, if you're wanting quick posters or something like that, I
Hmm.
wouldn't use it to do a podcast. Looking at my AI generated
I know.
background there, you know,
Terrible.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
a
sorry.
human being had to make my background that I stole.
You,
So,
yeah, you stole.
yeah,
It's just so
but
ridiculous. See, I used AI on purpose because, like, we were talking about AI, and you're like, no, I'm going to use something human made. Jeez, you know,
I'm right.
you're so against Skynet. I don't understand why.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Imagine wanting to like preserve thought and reasoning
Not
and
all the
skill sets,
Terminators are bad. That's what we
creativity.
learned from the
I'm not
Terminator
saying.
movies. Not all of them were bad.
I'm not even worried about that, to be honest. I think my biggest worry with like I think again I just think that's it's just not going to happen, right? I think the biggest worry with AI is the fact that in like when the bubble bursts, we're all screwed
Why?
because because basically all of their funding is unregulated and comes from private equity
Uh-huh.
or private finance, which is like essentially um so it'll be things like pension funds will be invested in AI and things like that. Banks will have given loans that are unregulated through special private vehicles. So yeah, so the market, like when this bubble pops,
It'd be great
is
for
it's
the.
gonna make 2008 look
Oh yeah,
like a laugh,
but maybe that's a
basically.
good
So
thing because, like, you know, then the rich can get richer again.
yeah,
Because that's
well
what happened last
well
time.
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That will
Well,
be the
that's what
thing
it's
that
all about, isn't
happens.
it? Look at.
So
I'm sorry to go off on a wee little side quest here, but you have Donald Trump announcing all the tariffs. He didn't do that like because he was being
he
stupid. He
did
did that
it.
on purpose.
He did it because it's good for America, mate.
You don't even start. He did it on purpose by goobering people into thinking it was a great idea, but it wasn't him. It was the big companies that knew that he'd have to reverse those tariffs. They've already charged all the American people ridiculous amounts of money. And we know that the companies, once he reversed the tariffs, weren't going to give the money back, and he wasn't going to give people the money. So he literally made all the people he wanted to, and all the people who were lobbying him, the ones giving him money, to literally make so much money. It was ridiculous, and
I think like
everybody else got squat. We all knew it was
Arctic
going to happen. It was just the fact that people didn't want to admit it.
Arctic just got their tariff refund,
Yes.
and do you know what they've done?
What's that?
They've immediately reduced all their prices to pre-tariff levels to
Oh,
get. They're just like, nah, they're just like, yeah, have your money back. Like
that's good.
we're in the
At least they're
hole
doing it
for.
right.
Yeah, a lot of companies have done that. They're just like they're in the hole and they're waiting for, because that was the
But
thing about tariffs that
then
people didn't get.
you got like companies like Apple and Amazon. Pardon my language. They're not doing it.
Of course they're not, but why would they? They're not exactly what I would call consumer friendly.
Oh, they're not.
So, but there are businesses who are doing the right thing, right? And I would say the majority of companies are doing the right thing, because the thing about the tariffs that no one got was, or no one in the States seemed to get, was like you pay the tax. So the company in America pays the import tariff, not the exporter. So they're paying more for a thing they need. So guess what? What you
Yeah.
buy is going to cost more.
Yeah, but that's
And then
because
that tariff literally just goes to the government, right?
yeah,
That's
that's
it.
right.
It's not even like there's any real benefit to it. And then now there's a whole hoo-ha about getting these things reimbursed to companies. But yeah, like don't
Mhm.
expect Apple to drop prices.
No,
Don't expect
see, the government got its money from the interest that it got from all the tariffs, and then they were like, "Yeah,
yeah,
no worries, we'll give you the money back anyway because we
but
made
it's
so
a
much
but
money. Now
but
you
it's a
can have your money
tiny
back." But the
but
consumer doesn't get anything.
but they've probably lost anything. In fact, they'll have probably it'll cost them more money. Like yeah, I would say by the end of this administration, they will
Hmm.
be in the negative
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, they're
they won't
already
they
in the
won't have
negative.
earned they won't have earned that much money from it. They've had to pay for legal counsel. They'll have to basically pay for the administration of refunding these
Yeah.
people, which means hiring people.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's just a joke. It's done nothing for the economy other than hurt it.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
it.
if you look
Um,
at the people who are best friends with Trump, like Jeff Bezos and
oh,
those people who run those companies, they did it on purpose. And if people don't actually
I think,
realize that they did it on
of course,
purpose to get the money back in exuberant amounts, then you need to actually get an education. And I mean that seriously.
it's
Yeah.
just just don't. No
What?
company exists to. The companies don't exist for your benefit. They exist to take your money, and
Hmm.
Amazon are like the most egregious,
Oh yeah.
and Apple as well. Actually,
Apple
Apple
is.
are
I don't
are,
like
are,
Apple
are
products anyway.
Apple are horrific. But yeah, do not expect price drops from like Apple, Nvidia, AMD, any of these companies. Like even when the bubble bursts, right? Everyone's like, "It's going to be great for hardware." It's like it's not. What are you going to do with a $20,000 graphics card that you can
Yeah.
buy for 10
Yeah.
and not plug into anything? Like,
Hmm.
what are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with like a terabyte of HBM that you can't use? It's like so that's the other side of it as well. That's scary. Is like there's going to be so much hardware that's literally just like undeployable, because
Hmm.
what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Because most data centers are basically giant, like sort of pre AI. Most data centers are just giant rooms full
Yeah.
of spinning rust. Just
Hmm.
their storage, and then you'll have server clusters connected to them, delivering services and things like that.
Hmm.
But and that hardware could be redeployed. So you would refresh it, turns up in the secondhand market. I mean, I've got a load of all my hard drives are ex enterprise hard drives from data centers, right? The hard drives you might be able to reuse actually, although a lot of it's kind of gone to U.2 kind of exotic solid state storage because it's faster.
Yeah.
Which again, I suppose you can get an adapter for it, but yeah, it's not going to be like, oh my god, there's a ton of Intel Xeon chips on there for like $10 each. It's going to be like, oh look, there's a giant rack for like 200 grand instead of
Yeah.
$1 million. It's like, okay, what use is that to you?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's a bit. I don't know. I think like I say, it has its uses, but it just seems like it's it's like we're making the same mistakes we've made previously. Basically, with
I know.
every financial crash, what's going to happen is in 30 years' time, people are going to look at this and be like, I cannot believe they didn't see the signs. Like, how
See,
did they not see the signs this was coming?
see
And it's just stock. It's the stock market. It's just bullish
we,
investors.
we kind of touched on this the other night when I was visiting, when we were talking about the
Mm.
Second World War, where
Yeah.
they literally taxed everybody to the hilt. If you don't like it, get out of the
Yep.
country, so they could
Yep.
rebuild infrastructure. And every
Yes.
single person was basically on the same level. Nobody was rich, nobody was super rich,
Mhm.
and that was because they actually tried to look after the country. And unfortunately, now you have literally the super rich turning around to people going, "We use trickle down economics to give you money," which it doesn't. That's a
Doesn't
lie.
work.
It's just a no. It's
It
not
doesn't.
just a
It
lie.
doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's a lie. Ronald Reagan
Yeah.
came up with it. Maggie Thatcher was like, "Yeah, this is a great idea to get money," because she wanted to become rich
Yeah.
herself. Yeah, and it was a complete and utter lie. And you still have that today with people like, say, for example, Nigel Farage literally taking bribes from people, yeah,
It
going,
was a
I'm not
gift.
taking your bribes, it's a
It was.
gift,
It
and
was a
then like,
small personal gift.
and then quitting as an
Oh,
MP to prove that it was a gift,
but
yeah.
it's not though, because he's gonna and then go up
The,
against Count. I really
yeah,
hope Count
I
Binface
hope
wins.
Benface
I love
wins as
Count
well, but
Binface. He's
it's not
very
just
intelligent as
it's
well.
not just that.
Count
So if
Binface.
Count Benface wins, he wins, yeah,
Yeah.
which is great. If Nigel Farage wins, yeah, he's
He
still going to get
loses.
investigated. He's still
Of course he
losing.
is.
It's a
As soon
lose-lose
as he gets,
situation for him. It's so dumb.
as soon as
He
he
is
goes back,
freaking
that's it. He's
swearing
gonna
again.
go first day back in the House of Lords. Guess what's gonna happen? They'll be like, oh yeah, and we're gonna reopen the investigation
Yeah,
into the.
exactly.
He's not gonna avoid anything.
No,
Yeah,
so
but he's in a situation now where he can't win. That's what's brilliant
yeah,
about it.
that's a
He's
brilliant thing.
engineered a situation where no matter what, if he loses, he lost to a
Yeah,
bin. If he
but
wins, he's like you beat a bin.
but
It's like,
my thing is that he keeps on saying I'm anti-establishment. He's not.
hmm,
He is a money
what
hoarding rich person that wants to get
I know.
even richer on the backs
I
of the
heard
people who he lies to. Like all the
there's
rich people saying, "Oh, don't worry, we'll give you jobs." But they're not
hmm,
doing that either. Like Nigel
I
Farage,
know.
I will look after
Um,
the county of
there
Clack,
was
and
there
he's
was an
like, I'm not even
amazing
turning up.
there's an amazing oh God, what was it? Was it on
This turned very
oh, it was
political.
channel 4. This is the last thing, then we'll probably have to end
Yeah.
and move on to the next episode. It's gone a bit
This been side
like
quest.
off topic. But yeah, Channel 4 were interviewing I'm sure it was like a staffer from Reform, and their attack line was that Count Binface is the establishment, and the guy Christian Gary Murphy was just like, are you having a laugh? Count Binface is he's like, well, I know he's got a hereditary title, but I don't think he's the establishment.
Oh wow, that is horrendous. Calling Count
Yeah,
Binface as the establishment.
yeah,
As, see that again, that's the thing
quite
with the
funny.
reform. They use
It's
hate
very
and
funny.
division to get people riled up
Hmm.
into the situation where they actually
Yeah,
believe something because of the mob mentality. Now, people
yeah,
can try to disagree with that. You can try, but I'm telling you now that you can't disagree with that. It is the most
I know.
ridiculous thing to blame other people for your
I agree.
issues. The rich people are blaming everybody for the issues apart from themselves, which are the rich people who literally are
Mm.
so rich that they could cure hunger in the UK, for example.
Yeah,
Frickin' Elon
we're good.
Musk can
Um,
cure the whole problem of people being hungrier throughout the whole world. He could literally pay for a house for every individual across the whole world to make them comfortable. Does he? No. Why doesn't he
no.
do that? Because he likes having the money, do what he wants, and then he can turn around and go, you must believe me because I have lots of money, which I don't understand why people believe that. I don't even understand why people defend people like that. It makes no sense
Oh,
to me.
it's beyond me. Anyway, and on that note, I think we'll wrap up. It was a really interesting discussion for like the
Um,
first like half hour, and then it kind of went
went
off
downhill.
kilter.
Um,
Uh,
so I'm going to say that AI is a handy tool, but it doesn't make money, which we'll talk about in the next episode. And
yes.
it really is not going to be like a major thing in the next 4 to 5 years in the public domain because it will just have like the pop of gooberness from not having any money, basically. because it won't have any money.
I know, exactly.
That was the worst summary ever. Do,
So
do,
I'll
do,
just
do,
find someone.
do, do I try again?
Um,
Do I do that
yeah,
summary again because that was really rubbish?
yeah, go for it.
No, you.
Me.
Yeah, you do the summary, and I'll keep my mouth shut.
Okay, yeah, getting back on track. So basically, AI is, I would say, is a useful tool. It is not a cure for the world's ills. It's not going to transform industry. It's not gonna. It's not gonna have. When you hear politicians talking about transformative effects of AI, they say that because they don't understand what LLMs are.
Hmm.
It's not coming to take 90% of people's jobs currently. And until you have a system that can interact with the real world, I don't think you've really got much to worry about.
Like,
Especially if you work in a job where reasoning matters, or physical interaction matters. Like,
hmm.
like if you're a bricklayer or a postie or so many things, it's like, yeah, your job's safe. Even my job is safe because at the end of the day, no one is going to trust an AI to make a decision whether or not we're going to ship product or not. They're going to be like, no, a human being or a group of human beings need to make that decision because we're legally liable for that decision.
But if you've got a mate who is a megalomaniac and wants to build a bomb
It's not
factory,
going to happen. It's not going to
it's
happen.
AI's perfect.
Oh my God. All right, cool. And on
Right,
that, I'll say goodbye and we'll be back to talk about the AI
money
AI
bubble.
money joke
Right,
in the next episode.
bye everyone.
Bye.